Hello everybody, and welcome to what I like to call How Can We Use AI? I'm here with my colleague from Lenovo.
Hi, I'm Emily Barrett.
And I'm Martin from GTech. And this is a series of podcasts which we're going to talk about how you can actually use AI and how actually it can prove useful for you. One of the things that I've always wondered from a university is effectively all the data that they have, could they possibly use it maybe for their research students, maybe for their own models, but could they possibly use that to help them train new AI models? I always understand that if you're trying to build an AI model, you need data to train it. You know, large language models needs a lot of input into it, image generators need a lot of images to generate from, but universities, to me, they collect a lot of data. Could that data be used by themselves internally to be able to train new AI models or build new AI models, or even just use for their research students?
So yes, absolutely. Universities have this massive data, and it's coming from all different places, whether it's research-generated data, whether it is data that is being generated from having a campus, from having buildings, all those different things. I mean, we live in a age of Internet of Things, as it's often referred to now. Everything is becoming more and more and more connected. Everything is generating data, and all of that data is either just being chucked away, or it's being stored somewhere, right? So it's important to think about where you're doing that storage and how you're managing that, because if someone comes along to you and says, I want to use this bit of data and this bit of data, are those two different data sets sat in the same place? Or have you got something in place which will allow them to bring multiple data sources together to do that data integration piece? And this is a challenge that is being faced by not just universities. I'd say pretty much every organisation on the face of the planet who has data, unless they did a really good job about 10 years ago when big data was all the rage. Some people did a really good job of putting in place data strategies then and ensuring that they were getting rid of data silos, starting to break those down so that when the time came when they needed to be able to use that data, it was accessible through one single platform, right? Now, some people made that investment and some people did that, and those are the people now that we're looking at and that we're seeing some of these leading AI models come out of, because they've got that ability to look at that integrated data holistically. Now, obviously, this depends on what data you need to train whatever AI model it is. This all gets quite hypothetical quite quickly.
Yes.
It's something really to bear in mind when you are looking at that data collation piece is, am I doing this onto multiple disparate systems? And do we actually know what data we have? Because quite often, especially if you are working in an environment where there are multiple departments, that doesn't mean that, one department necessarily knows what data another department has.
Yeah.
So actually being able to accurately look up what data you have available becomes really important here, because otherwise you're going out and looking at either buying in data sources, or not being able to utilise the unique data you've got. Because if you have some particular unique data that might have value to an external company, there's a chance there to monetize that, right? So if you have that data, it'd be really good to know that, right? So I think the key thing here when we're talking about all of these data sources coming together is making sure that you have a really solid data management strategy in place in terms of how you're going to do that. I see with universities that, some of them have really good data management and systems and policies in place for their research data.
Yes. Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily translate over to their facilities data, right? When actually it might be that facilities data that is holding that unique piece of information that you're after at this point. So I think just making sure that you are really understanding that data isn't just coming from more traditional sources. There are scientific pieces of equipment that generate vast amounts of data out there. But additionally,
Yes.
every campus is generating vast amounts of CCTV data.
And you might-
Are you deleting that every 30 days? Because if you are, that's fine, but just be sure that there isn't anything in there that you're going to need.
Exactly, and you talk about CCTV. I mean, I know universities that have different CCTV systems for each campus or each building.
Yeah, and it is, it is a challenge. But there are platforms and there are products out there that can help with this, because it is a challenge for so many organisations, not just within education, right?
Yes.
It is a much wider challenge. And once you've got that data collated, if you are then going to want to look at training any form of AI model based on some of that data, there's a whole load of data preparation work that has to go in there as well. So I think just spending a little bit of time thinking about what tooling are you providing to allow people to do that data preparation is really important when we start to talk about the bigger data picture. So, as we've said, you only get out information that's as good as what you put in. So you need to put the time and effort in to doing that foundational work on the data you have available before you start doing anything fancy. I think that's the really key thing to remember here.
So to prepare your data will enable you to effectively use it going forward in new models. Potentially, it can become a source of revenue for the university if you've actually got that data in the right format to enable you to do the training. But we've talked a lot about, CCTV, and that kind of is a lot of real-time data. What about historic data as well? Older platforms, can we prepare the data that's come off those and use it in the same way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you talked about, potentially collating all the data together. I kind of have this, again, I have these visions all the time, and one of them says that you've got a room full of disks storing all this data together because it's a separate copy. I mean, does it just pull off particular information, or does it just drag it all together to put it in just one single format?
And I'm going to do that technology thing again and say it depends. It depends what you're looking for, right?
Yes.
If you are wanting to create one master copy to rule them all, then absolutely, please feel free. We can help you with that. I think the way more people are going, and the perhaps more cost-effective way to do it, is to look at how you do that integration between what may now be disparate systems.
Okay.
So there are things out there that can really help with doing that integration. Just encourage people to have an open mind, look at what they can do around that integration, and come and talk to us about it.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So if you want to know more information, please check the links following the end of this webinar, and thank you very much for tuning in.